At the same time as Bobi Wine's court appeal was being heard, people were voting in local government elections in which Wine's party is expected to do well, particularly around Kampala. I caught up with the journalist Alex Otto, who is at a polling station near the capital, Kampala. Alex Otto, thanks very much indeed for joining us on the program. I believe you're just outside Kampala. Where are you and what's happening?
Okay, so I'm in a place called Chiwachule, a few kilometers from Kampala, from the main trading center in Kampala. And what is happening right now is that elections are taking place, and these are local council elections. So this is like the third election. So far, we're having councillors are being voted. And the turn-up is a little bit low, especially because it rained heavily in the morning. But also, you know, when you start from high, from the presidential to the mid-local government, and then now to the local council, the turn-up gets to reduce. So right now, we are witnessing the local council elections. And as you can see behind me, the turn-up is not so high. But what has happened in the local government elections is that the National Unity Platform, which is Bobi Wine's party, has swept Kampala. So if there is a map by the Electoral Commission, which indicates that the most part of Uganda is painted yellow, which is President Museveni's party, but Kampala itself is painted red. So Bobi Wine has taken over the entire city council. So the National Resistance Movement has no representative at the city council and some parts of Kampala. However, the National Resistance Movement, which is President Museveni's party, has taken over other parts of the country. So that is what's happening with the elections right now.
All right, we hear today that the court has declared Bobi Wine, Robert Chagulani's continued detention, house arrest, unconstitutional. What is the situation at this time? Is the army still keeping him locked in his residence, essentially?
Okay, so the reason why security says it's holding Bobi Wine, they claim that he has been threatening to mobilize, to rally people to the streets of Kampala to protest the election results. So what you should know is that Bobi Wine does not believe in the results. He believes there was rigging. And so because of that, there was anticipation based on apparently what Bobi Wine said, that he would mobilize people to challenge the elections. So the army deployed at his home, and they've been there since Thursday on 14th when we went to the polls. And so following following his house arrest, what has been happening is that he's been failing to connect with the people outside. And so that cut him off. He couldn't mobilize anything. He just started getting his lawyers and his part of his even journalists. The U.S. ambassador actually got blocked from visiting that place, and government described that as some sort of interference from the U.S. ambassador trying to access that place, as she allegedly didn't follow the procedures. So Bobi Wine has been under house arrest, although government says it is for the good of this country because he was threatening to mobilize people. So following today's court decision, the army is still, the security is still at Bobi Wine's place, especially because they say they have not yet got a formal communication from the court. So what usually happens is that when court makes an order, they extract that ruling and serve and give it to the concerned parties. So they have to give one letter to the security and then government and all other agencies that are mentioned in. So what the spokesperson of the police has said is that they have not yet gotten a formal request, a formal message from the court to have Bobi Wine's area vacated. So as we speak now, Bobi Wine is still at his home and is still being guarded, or the security is still highly deployed in that area, and access to the area is still very limited. So that is what is happening at Bobi Wine's place right now.
All right, so there have been a lot of videos circulating on social media, apparently looking as if there are officials packing ballot boxes and fixing the election for President Museveni. Have you been able to verify any of those videos or any of the allegations that have been leveled against the ruling party in terms of trying to rig this election?
Okay, so what you can get from me firstly is that there was an internet shutdown that completely changed everything. Even journalists couldn't work, they couldn't file their report, you know. You had to literally do everything physically. From the field, run to your office and file a story like the traditional way, or send a text message. So there was an information gap. There was total darkness in Kampala and the whole country. So you wouldn't, even though you had evidence against ballot stuffing or something like that, you wouldn't easily present it anywhere. So these things that you're seeing came out later on, after the internet was restored. Then we started seeing people with pre-ticked ballot boxes and people are ticking ballot boxes. They all appear to be real. They appear to be real because you can actually see actual ballot papers and you can see actual people ticking for specific candidates. And I wouldn't say I've confirmed it, but they look real. And when the Electoral Commission was asked about these incidences, the Electoral Commission was questioning people instead. Why didn't you report to the police when you saw that? Why didn't you report to us when you saw that? Why didn't you take interest in that? But remember, internet was off. So the status of these pre-ticking of the ballot papers and accusations, it's still there. There is no solid confirmation, except that the Electoral Commission says that they are going to investigate it and they are going to ensure that that what really happened is ascertained. But as we speak right now, there is no solid evidence. There's no there's accusations, of course, from Bobi Wine, but the Electoral Commission has not yet come out to condemn this or to even say what exactly that was.
What's the general feeling of Ugandans on the ground? Do they feel that the presidential and parliamentary elections were free and fair? Or do they believe what they're seeing in these videos, that it was rigged and was unfair, and that perhaps Robert Kyagulanyi did win the election after all?
Okay, so there's a feeling here that to some extent, and to some politicians and to some levels, the elections was free and fair. For example, the councillor areas, for the local councils, that one they believe was free and because President Museveni lost anyway. And then for the members of parliament, I would tell you that I think it was completely free and fair because a lot of people lost in that elections, including 27 ministers, President Museveni's ministers. That speaks a lot because these are senior ministers. Some of them have been in parliament since the 1990s and they lost. So in that area that the ministers lost, and about half of the members of parliament lost in the elections. These people served for 5 years, and so they include oppositions and the national resistance movement. So about that, people think that it was fair. But when it comes to the presidency, there is a feeling, especially from the people that support Bobi Wine or want a change in government, that the elections were not free and fair because Bobi Wine is being held up to now, you know. That kind of tells them that it wasn't free and fair. And then, of course, the allegations of rigging, that also makes people think that it wasn't free and fair because they think President Museveni is the incumbent. He does appoint the Electoral Commission. You know, this is the whole thing about this election. No one needs any sort of assurance. If I do appoint the Electoral Commission, I am the chief of the military, you know. I do appoint everyone for all positions in this country, including the Electoral Commission. So it's just natural that someone you appoint in a position will not rule against you. And, you know, President Museveni has been the president of this country for long, and there's been allegations of vote rigging ever since his own personal doctor, Kizza Besigye, challenged him. There's been that sense of accusations. So there's a feeling here that, elections were not free and fair. But again, I would like to tell you from my personal experience, this is Bobi Wine's home in Kampala. And ideally, President Museveni was not expected to perform extremely well here. But I can tell you that in this very polling station that we are in, I was shocked to see Bobi Wine get about 400 votes and President Museveni getting 200. So, if President Museveni is getting about 200 in a polling station in Kampala where Bobi Wine is very strong, what will President Museveni get in general? Because he is much stronger up country where Bobi Wine is not. So that also makes a case and makes you think, could this actually be a true kind of win for President Museveni, or could it actually be some sort of a vote rigging? So the feeling here is that, elections has passed. Let us go back to work. People have not died unlike in November. So the feeling among people is that, let us just go back to work. And so far this is what is happening in Kampala. People have resigned from the elections to say, let's move on, whatever the case.
Alex, I wonder what the situation is with COVID-19. I see a lot of people walking around you that are not wearing face masks in the queues. Is it still a problem? And are people taking it seriously? Is it mandatory to wear masks in public?
Yeah, so it's very mandatory to wear a mask in public. So whether you're using a public transport, whether you're in this gathering, you'll notice that many people actually have masks on their chins, and a few don't have. But the ones who have masks on their chin put on it. By the way, I just removed mine for this interview. But many people do have masks, and they wear it upon meeting enforcement officers. But the enforcement is a little bit relaxed. So COVID-19 in Uganda, it's thought to be now with almost, with a lot of people in Kampala, because our problem is that we haven't done a lot of testing like a lot of countries. So COVID-19 is thought to be a very big threat. In fact, government is still advocating. President Museveni had a meeting just last week with his people to celebrate his victory. But instead of talking to them, he only waved to them for about 2 minutes because he thought COVID-19 was getting out of hand. And so, facility, you see this? This is a hand washing facility right now in a school. So the voters are actually supposed to pass from here and wash their hands before they go anywhere else. But they've not been doing it. People have been there's been laxity. As you can see right now, people are gathered and they are congested. You don't know who has COVID. There's not been anything like social distancing, although today there are few. But COVID still remains a challenge, and yes, I think people have gotten over it. I just think that they'll need to be woken up by enforcement, but people have gotten over it compared to how it was before. Hand washing, I want to think that it has a little bit reduced, but that is the situation right now with COVID-19. We're still getting cases every day. Cases, as long as they test, we still have cases.